Okay, so we got Evolution, we got Saturday Night Main Event, we got NXT, Great American Bash. Uh, is WWE doing too damn much? Yes, they're doing too damn much. Um, this is what I'll say. I don't think that is crazy. I mean, like we're about to go to 2 nights. We got 2 nights for WrestleMania. We got 2 nights for SummerSlam. You got to think that Royal Rumble will end up being 2 nights. Hell, I wouldn't doubt if they wouldn't do the Elimination Chamber 2 nights as well. Like Survivor Series, especially they keep War Games. I wouldn't doubt that doesn't get to 2 nights. Like we'll eventually end up being 2 nights. WWE Money in the Bank, just because like all these are stipulation type of PLEs, or they're the big ones that I can see them having 2 nights for. So it's not crazy that WWE is going to have the weekend booked or whatever. But with that being said, it's all one shows. This is 3 different shows, and it all being on. I was like, I did a video with like going to get AEW for like the whole booking thing, and some of the points in there is also the ones here where it's like that it's like you're doing a lot, and I think it really just harms each individual programming in itself. One, I just think that we can just outdo ourselves. Like, guess what? There's going to be something, and it's probably going to be NXT that's going to go by the wayside. This isn't something like WrestleMania where it's like everybody's in the season to basically feel like, nah, I'm gonna jam pack all this wrestling I got. Cause this is the weekend. This is the main thing that's happening. I was like, this is sort of at a lull pace, and let's be honest, WWE, especially here, as a like, now I'm not even gonna say lately. It's kind of been like this for a while. They get saved by the stipulations of Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and the feeling of WrestleMania, Money in the Bank in itself that you can sort of there's something there to watch that those can survive kind of booking or meh storylines or just throwing stuff together, because guess what, there's something there that you can gravitate all that stuff around. Here, not really. And it's like, while there is some little bit of storyline, Seth Rollins, LA Knight been beefing. I was like, Goldberg's final match. I was like, the women all having a thing. I was like, that you can sort of like throw some stuff together. But to me, if you're going to do something like this, you need to have it hitting on all cylinders, to where it's like, oh man, I want to watch all of 3 of these. And WWE to me doesn't show or is capable. Not that they don't have the talent, but they just haven't seemed like they're able to put that together. And that's why I think that's too much. It's really kind of like Marvel, to be honest, where it's like Marvel did all like their shows after like 2020 and stuff like that. That coming off of something like WrestleMania, I was like, their end game. That's like, okay, and I'm not. And last year was really more their end game than this year, but you get what I'm saying. WrestleMania is like the be all, and yes, there's gonna be stories afterwards. But Marvel put out a whole bunch of stories that was like, cool, all right, okay, I guess I don't really care anymore. And that's how sort of WWE is kind of like, oh, that's cool, that's awesome, all right, sure, I guess I'm gonna watch it. Like that's really sort of what it is. It's just that like that's sort of at the point they're at, and that's where I feel like you start really doing too much. Is where nobody like, yeah, people are gonna watch either because they're wrestling fans or WWE fans. Maybe you want to see like train wreck. Maybe you're hoping for something that happens that gets you back invested. But for the most part, you kind of just like, I'll get to it when I get to it. That's sort of how it is with WWE stuff. And funny enough is that while AEW doesn't have they went through their rough patch, and they're doing a lot better now, and they have their issues as well. That if you told me that AEW was doing 3 like events, I feel like that I would feel better with them than anything, because I know at least there you're getting matchups you want to see. Whereas like WWE sometimes it's like you're not getting matchups you want to see, or necessarily storylines to the full potential. That is kind of like, Whereas like AEW at bare minimum is putting together where they're willing to throw out something where if they threw out like Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan, you're like, I don't know what happened here to get here, but I'll watch this. That's how I was like, WWE is not necessarily that. So I was like, and they said, I was like, AEW get enhanced by the storylines where WWE needs storylines. I was like, to me, they can't really put out like necessarily like great wrestlers in the same way that AEW can, that you could sell a whole weekend of stuff with, just because you just know like they're not. For what the wrestler that you get, you need the storyline, you need the stuff, you need something to connect the tissue. AEW doesn't need that, but it does make things better. So I was like, I just think it's too much on their hand. Where it's like we see the Raws, definitely the SmackDowns, that they just kind of just like, oh, this stuff is here, and now you're going to put them in like big, huge blow off moment. That's like, I'm going to watch, but I'm not invested enough to where it's like, yo, I ain't doing nothing. Cancel my stuff. I'm about to watch some wrestling. Like, yeah, you do it because I was like, just like with Marvel, I was like, they got you at like a time where you're still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. You're still hopeful. You're still wanting to dive in. And I know this sounds like it's like doom and gloom on like WWE, and that's not how it's like meant. I'm just saying that they haven't put their best foot forward in order to feel great about them putting on 3 different PLEs all on the weekend, where they're all separate. They all need their own special attention. We see that they can't even do that when it comes to having the tag teams, the mid-level for the women or for the men, and also sort of piecing together how they are with the World Heavyweight Championship. They sort of do all right with they do pretty well with the Universal Championship. And I'm like, if y'all can't do that on individual separate shows, then what am I going to really look for in the pay-per-view? I was like, no, I'm just here because it's wrestling. But we're just at a point where we're just sort of waning, and we're just sort of like we're feeling like we're just waiting for whatever you could get from SummerSlam, which also I don't know if this really helps or hurts SummerSlam at this point either, because a match that you would have put on SummerSlam, Io versus Io versus Rhea, I don't know why I combined their names, that would be a SummerSlam match. But now it's here in Evolution, so that means like, okay, cool, well, how are we going to get to, what are we going to do to get to SummerSlam? You do have the King and Queen of the Rings that you could sort of bypass and stuff like that, but where you sort of like, like where it makes sense, like if you had Naomi and Jade here, it makes sense because you know that something's going to happen when Jade faces Tiffany Stratton or whatever. But you can see where it's like some things are just thrown together that it's like, oh, okay, we get that. You got like 2, 3 main, and then you just sort of piece together. I thought they've done pretty well with Evolution, although the people don't think so. But I think the matches are there. You could say the build-up hasn't really connected, but I think that they actually done right more on their side than a little bit with the Saturday Night Main Event in some aspects. But I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think that we're going to really get this again, to be honest, of having 3 separate PLEs, if you want to call that, we're going to call them all PLEs. And I don't think, I was like, so it's like, if this is sort of just this, then I think that is fine. Now, overall, is WWE doing too much, where it has like SmackDown, Raw, LFG, Evolve, NXT, what they doing with TNA, how they're trying to do stuff with the Evolution, which after this is just going to go by the wayside, and other things like that, AAA and whatnot. Then I think, yes, I think in that aspect, they're all, because I was like, that's really also where it gets sort of to Marvel, where it's like, oh, we got the special presentation, we got, I was like, we got the TV show, we got the movies, I was like, you got the cartoons, you got the, it's like, and they're all like, they're sort of connected. It's like, it's like, that is too much. That is too much. So, I don't think it's sustainable. I think they'll probably try this, there'll probably be one more time of this, or whatever, but I don't think this is going to be something that keeps on going, especially if we start going to 2 nights for the main PLEs. But right now, I think to be honest, some of this is really just because after WrestleMania there is that lull, that I feel like you have to sort of figure out, like, we need something to get people's attention, and these are at least enough to get people's attention to have them somewhat focused without just like bouncing out too much out of WWE. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I was like I've been keeping up and stuff like that, but I haven't routinely how I normally was committed to like watching Raw, SmackDown. Cause I couldn't take SmackDown 3 hours because it was just like Jesus Christ. I'll just watch somebody summon it up or highlights or whatever like that. And Raw also kind of been a little bit like a little draggy as well too, where it's like, okay, cool, I'll just catch clips and segments and stuff like that and figure it out instead of over here burning 3 hours all the time with it. So, but that's just where we're at, and like we'll see after SummerSlam, they might just hit like a good pace to where this might not even come up anymore again until pretty much maybe around that time. But also nobody's watching LFG like that. Nobody devolved. Unless you one of them wrestling like die hard head where you over here you're over here studying tape, like you're over here trying to find players over in Europe's G League type of stuff. Then I think that I think it's sort of fine. I was like like everybody else, you're gonna figure out what you want to watch, what you don't want to watch, what you catch up on, all this other stuff. That is like, in the end, is it too much? Yeah, but I think that is not something that's going to take over, if that makes any sense. Not the NXT ones, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, do you think that WWE doing too much? Do they got a little bit too much on their plate? Too much dip on a chip, as you can say? Let me know. Until then, peace. I'm out.